yes, we're back, guys, and hopefully you enjoyed yesterday's video with Susie. And today we're going to kind of follow up on another banger talking about the new hero index, right, for the OMEYOCANs. We've already done 2 of these, so you can check it out. And if you guys are new to the channel, basically all I'm going to do is give you my first impressions, first look at what the kits currently look like and kind of what I'm liking and what I'm not liking, where we could potentially be using these and all potentially combos, all of that type of stuff, just to kind of give ourselves a little bit of a Godforge itch, because I know what you guys are like, same like me. I need the game. I'm kind of twitching, I'm kind of tweaking that I can't play, and honestly, if you feel the same, smash a like, comment, and subscribe. Join the Sneak Squad here. We are all degenerates. We love Godforge, and I'm going to hopefully give you a bunch of different content, as you've guessed it, from collabs to interviews to obviously guides into anything that is going to be Godforge related. So, with that, before we get in, if you do want to join into another cool thing, which is a Pantheon, come and join Camp Half-Blood. We've got our Pantheon here as well. I can always shout this out because obviously the more people in our community that we can help, the better it is, because it is a very community, centric game. We've got a bunch of different Pantheons you can see. They're all filling up now, which is absolutely crazy. Over 530, I think, members nearly, which is just insane. So a big shout out to all of the Camp Half-Blood members, right? So let's get into today's video, the fun stuff, which is going to be all of these heroes. And if you guys are wondering, we do work from bottom to top. So if you want the legendaries, you can move on into later on in the video if you want to, but if you want to actually listen to all of it, we can listen to all of it. And just to give you guys a little bit of a introduction, if you're first to the channel, anytime we break down anything like this, especially when it's got like the defense down one or the sharpen one, we do use the big mighty man Raven Pyrus' website, so you can see exactly what any of the buffs do, any of the debuffs, and even the disables in game, with potentials of instances and all of this kind of craziness. That is all Godforge related. So if you're new, don't worry, I should be able to help you kind of wrap your head around things, right? So the first one we're just looking at is a common, nothing too crazy, but I will just say I do like always these model designs. Even the commons look really cool, like, for these guys, so can't complain. Slayer, strength, he's going to be obviously one of our main food sources later down the line. But what can we use him for? He has an attack 1 with a 220% attack on it, with 50% chance to place a defense down 1 for 1 turn. Not too shabby. With an attack 1, 300% attack, place sharpen 1 on this hero. So sharpen allows you to strong hit as well as do strong hit damage by 30% on both of those, meaning you have your normal attack, then you have your strong hit, which is like a bit more of a bonus, but then you can even critical on top of that. So it's kind of like a multiplier, then you got kind of like another multiplier, just as a lot of dumbed down stuff for the newbies out there in the world, right? So not too shabby, nothing too crazy, but obviously somewhere has to start, right? So now we're going to the Black Jaguar and the Eagle Archer. So Eagle Archer here is another Slayer in the cunning category, and the thing is, some of these uncommons you don't want to ignore because you can do probably some funky stuff with them, right? So this guy attacks 1 enemy, 300% attack, but inflicts 150% increased damage to enemies who are at full health. So he's almost like your opening gambit. Kind of cool, right? So if someone's at full health, you can just go boof and hit them really freaking hard with this guy. You can also, with your core, attack on him for 350% and also place an attack up 1. So you could potentially core 1 enemy with a joint attack now, use him on another enemy, get that big bop with the attack up steroid, which isn't too shabby. It's nothing crazy, it's not game breaking, right? But we do like to have a little bit of fun in here. It's 20% extra attack on that man, so he's not gonna complain. On top of this, he does have block revive, which is a really early access, which you might need, and don't knock it because you might actually need this in certain areas of the game. So attacks 1 enemy 140% 3 times, so you're really trying to kill that one guy. But if you do, enemies killed by this ability cannot be revived. So really powerful actual little bit of utility there that might be needed. So just remember that. This is why we look at these heroes, because is not insane, and we will find better block, revives and block debuffers in the future. But in the early game, we do need to find this early source of it in case we just don't get good summons and we don't get the good heroes or gods that we need to play the game, right? So, moving into the Black Jaguar. I wish I could rotate him, right? Because having him looking head on here is quite spooky. Those eyes are kind of giving me a not good vibes. I'm going to be real. So we've got Slayer with Cunning on this. And then we go into the abilities. 1 attack enemy 2 times with 150% on the rate. We have a 20% chance to gain an extra turn. Ooh boy, we like to do some funky things with that. It doesn't mean we're always going to get it, but hey, if it goes off, it gets to go off. The core is off 1 attack, 250%, 50% chance to put defense down 1. Okay. Then the ultimate places a sharpened 2 on this hero for 2 turns, attacks one enemy for 300% attack, and if the target has any buffs, you do increase the damage by 25%. It's okay. And you might need it early on, but again, this DPS is something that you're going to probably ignore. You do have starter heroes, and honestly, the starter DPS is enough, probably with most of your legendary picks that you've decided to pick on in the Godforge quests, hopefully, to give yourself that little bit of an advantage in the early game. So he isn't that impressive compared to the Eagle Archer, as you can see, right? So we can already see, like, if we were going to think about it, these 2 guys could be maybe your food boys, while Eagle Archer, you might just keep around a little bit longer until you find someone else who can also do, obviously, the block revive on here for free, right? If you can get that block revive off, that's pretty powerful for a little uncommon early pickup that you might need. So now we're moving into the better territory, the fun stuff where you are going to be playing majority of the time with these heroes. And I will be honest, OMEYOCANs have some amazing rares and epics that I can't wait to talk about, right? So let's just begin with the beginning one we all know and love, Lady Shock. So Lady Shock is going to be your starter hero, right? So this is a hero that does bleed. She's all about placing bleed, and it's not too shabby, right? With this AoE on her core and an AoE on the ultimate, which is actually really big that you get this early AoE. A lot of people will tell you from the Alpha 1, 2, and 3 experience, like myself and even Adam, we actually did an entire run with rares only, and we can complete the entire game with them. And the thing is, Lady Shock, Ramses, and Guan Yu all have good AoE for early farm waving. Honestly, you could wave farm with these guys pretty early on. Yes, as a spoiler, Ramses is the best out of the lot as a speed wave clearer, but it gives you the opportunity that you have this in your kit, so you don't want to ignore. Being an early bleed is really good too, because if you want to go down that playstyle, it can help you out. But obviously there is, to be honest, better bleed places in the game. Let's just be real. There is, in my opinion, better bleed places. However, for the early game, it is what you got to work with, right? So you're going to take it with what you've got. You attack one enemy, 315%, 50% chance to place 1 stack of bleed. Then you got the core, which is attack all enemies, 420% attack with a 25% chance to strong hit, which is honestly where a lot of this damage comes on. But then an 80% chance to place 1 stack of bleed on each target, which is really powerful. But then we're going into the ultimate. If you attack them 2 times, do all this damage. If an enemy is defeated, you place speed up 2. So lets you get going a lot more sooner, right? When we look into the awakening says if an enemy is defeated, reduce the cooldown of the core ability by 1 turn. So what you can do, if you've not guessed it, is you kind of like core into maybe 1 potentially or less, depending on how lucky you are, but 1 core into a basic, into this ultimate, which basically lets you hopefully go back into another core, which is a really good, again, combo you can think about for a star hero that you get on, right? You get increased damage on the targets as well for each stack of bleed, which is not too shabby, and you get a 20% attack or battle. So she isn't too bad, honestly, Lady Shock. She's a really good star hero. I think a lot of people will enjoy using her when you get access to her. But for myself and many of the other content creators, we have seen all of the capabilities of what each of the starter heroes do, hopefully. And we know what's going to come for you guys. So I don't want to spoil it. I hope you guys enjoy her when you use her. And if you don't use her, don't worry, the others are going to be as good. So I want to say Ixchel is an invoker. She has the imprint bonus, and obviously it's going to come down later on, but at the start of this hero's turn, sacrifice 5% of this hero's current HP to heal all allies equal to the amount of HP lost. So this is basically sacrifice your own HP, AoE heal. Nice and simple, right? But if we can keep her healed up, then we can keep cycling this really good potential healing on there. So if you go down into her basic, attacks one enemy 2 times, which isn't too shabby, a nice bit of damage, but you place Mend on herself for 1 turn, which makes sense now, right? Able to heal herself is good, because if she heals herself, self-sustains, she's sacrificing her own HP. That's going to obviously go on to the allies, which is a good AoE heal there. Core, random 1 debuff from all allies and place Stalwart on each ally for 1 turn. This is actually a really good core ability as well. Stalwart is one of these buffs that you do want to keep an eye out often for, because early on it's going to make you actually probably push through certain walls that you didn't expect that you're going to hit. Like, this is walls where they are going to be full disable teams, as you can see, and your hero is immune to disables. And when you have this Stalwart buff off, obviously when you take disable, it comes down. But having access to a hero that can actually just put this at least on all of your allies for 1 turn does give you that 1 turn needed to actually just ignore what they were about to do and then rotate to your turn, blow them up, right? That's kind of the whole gimmick of it. I actually do like this core. It's a really good utility effect, and you remove 1 random debuff. So if you've got 1, it's quite targeted. If you've got multiple, it is what it is, right? Ultimate, though, places Mend for 1 turn on all allies again, and if an ally is below 50% HP, you also place their increase their turn meter by 10%. Otherwise, if they're above that 50% now, you're going to get a 10% increase on your divinity, which is your ultimate. Again, really good. I don't think you realize this is on all allies. This is including herself. So having this Mend and this ultimate keeps her actually alive. And then you got this Mend on allies. And then, as you can see, sacrificing 10% now. All of your current HP is going to heal everyone on the squad. So as you can imagine, you definitely, guys, want to build as much HP as possible. The more HP you can build, the better for this hero. When we look at Awakening 5-2, each turn increases this healing by 3%, up to 10% times. I think this is meant to be 10 times. So this is going to be 30%, right? So you can get a 30% increase in healing each time this triggers off, which is actually a good, massive amount of healing in like boss fights even and that. So I'm not gonna lie, guys, keep an eye out on this hero. I know we get access to Isolde, but listen, Ixchel might be something else that you need in certain areas, and it seems like she could potentially do even more healing, which is actually pretty nuts. So I really like this hero. Good rare healer there. Keep an eye out on this wisdom-based healer. Sean one, though, a defender, has a 25% chance to remove 1 disable on this hero at the start of their turn. Okay, we see what we're going to do with this. Attacks 1 enemy for 225% defense, and then places Mend on himself. So very similar to what he's just done with Ixchel. So both of them self-sustaining, but then he's getting protect on all allies for 1 turn. And if you awaken 5 him, you also place a barrier for 50% of this defense on this hero. And this is actually quite nice. I actually do like these type of combinations, because as you'll see, protection here, you're going to transfer the damage, as you can see, 20% here of the damage of any of your units, any of your allies, to him now, right? So Sean 1 is going to take 20% of the damage of your Isolde, of your Apollo, of whoever you've got in your team, right? And he's taking that. But if we've got a little bit of a barrier on here, it's going to soften the blow. On top of we've got mend on him, so he can actually heal through and hopefully take more of this damage. Makes him actually soak and kind of do what a tank needs to do. So not too shabby at all in this little early phase. Then we've got the ultimate. Places defense up 1 on his hero for 1 turn, then attacks all enemies for 190%, with a 50% chance to place an attack down 1. And yeah, this is actually not a bad kit. I'm going to be honest. That's not a bad little kit there. Early game. Attack down 1. We get a defense up 1 on himself too. Then we get a good protection and we can heal ourselves. And if you got an assault or that previous hero, Ixchel, guys, this guy's going to be up and he's going to do the early game defending you need until you find a really good defender to do a very similar job here. So has a 50% chance to remove a disable too, which is really good, meaning he can always basically do in his turn. And just to remind you guys, for these buffs, the attack up is a 20% here, defense up as well 20%. So you guys can see it's not 40, it's not crazy, but it's still something, right? And even the attack down is a 20% attack down, right? So you just go down here, you can see there 20% for you guys, just to rest your minds if you had any anxiety on there. And he also has a leader bonus of 30% resistance. This is actually quite good. It's only in dungeons though, which is a bit shabby, but you're probably going to need it in a lot of the dungeons, I'm imagining. You got to think with the resistance now, you're basically hoping you're not going to hit as many disables or debuffs on your team, which is going to be quite useful, again, in certain dungeons that you're going to be fighting again. So, not a bad rare. I don't think it's going to be one I'm going to be super keen on, but if you pull him, I reckon you're going to be able to use him. Let's just say that. I don't think he's going to be unusable, which is actually pretty good, right? So now we've got Titzel Katzin, who's a disruptor for him. So this is our first disruptor, I believe, of the OMEYOCANs in the rares as well. So if this hero is under Vanish, oh no. You guys know I hate Vanish mechanics, but here we go. Attackers have a 25% chance to place a random disable on the target for 1 turn. So now I actually like this. Now this I actually like. I'm going to be honest. Because if we can run an Anu and we can run these heroes to place him under Vanish as often as we can, hopefully, if he's a little bit low HP compared to everyone else, we can really take advantage of placing a random disable, because some disables are very powerful in this game. You gotta think, if it's a random disable, he could confuse, despair, freeze, petrify, shade, potentially, if it's in the pool for him, sleep, stun, or taunt. Everyone's good. Everyone is really good. And that's just here. You gotta think, when we look at the actual kit, it's a 50% chance, which is quite huge. I actually really like this, actually. Basic attack puts himself into Vanish too, which isn't bad. That means we can attack into Vanish, then we can core, and then get this disable off. And, and the disable puts a speed down too. So speed down 2 under Vanish, and a potential chance to disable the target as well. And if you join attacks, we can use our basic ability, which puts ourselves back into Vanish. So if you come back into our turn and even basic someone, hopefully it breaks out of Vanish, potentially disables them, goes back into Vanish again, right? And we can keep repeating this process. I don't mind this now. I don't mind this because I'm not bothered about the damage. I don't care about any of that. You can see he's even scaling off HP, which I actually like here. I really like that. And the fact that we're able to basically have this massive HP bruiser, basically, and all he's going to do is go into Vanish and almost keep disabling down targets we need. I actually quite like this kit already. I actually really do. So when we read the core properly, you attack 2 times, and each hit has a 50% chance to do that. So if you have the first chance is a speed down 2, and then it might go into the speed down 1, that's still really, really good, right? The ultimate as well attacks all enemies and has a 50% chance to place the initiative down 1. And then if it's under Vanish, which we should be, that's a playstyle initiative down 2. And again, big debuff there on the divinity gain there, right? 20% divinity decrease is quite huge on the delays of ultimates, which could literally tempo swing the fights on there. And you just get divinity by hitting there, and it's 35 accuracy, but only in dungeon battles. So a little bit, because obviously people want to see kind of all battles, but hey, I will take it if it's going to be good in these areas. So the thing is, we can't disable bosses, right? So it's not going to be something we can use for bosses. But could we use it in the tower? 100%. Can we use it in campaign pushing? 100%, right? Could we use it elsewhere is going to be the question, right? Where else? PvP, this could be an absolute nuisance to play against with the right joint attack team as well. So if this is the kit, boys, I'm actually quite interested in this hero for the first time in, I think, Godforge's history and my channel's history. I like a Vanish hero. I have never, everyone says I give them too much hate, and I do, but listen, when you've played the alpha and you've played against Vanish so much, you can realize how much it just does not matter in here. Maybe in PvP, different, but not in the like PvE space. So Titzelkatzen, keep an eye out on this Lion Boy. Gonna be an interesting one here, right? So now we're moving on to the main course, the epics, before we hit the juicy dessert of the legendaries. And just to remind you guys, if you've enjoyed it so far, smash like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to join the Pantheon, links are in the description down below for you, right? So, Hunapoo! Who had a poo? Jesus Christ, not me. I'm telling you, it wasn't me. But Brawler Cunning. When this hero receives a critical attack, increases hero's turn meter by 2.5%. So if enemies crit him, he gets to go a little bit sooner. Okay, nothing too crazy. It's going to be 5% when we're up there. Ooh, so we got our first combo hero. So let's read the kit without the combo and see if it's any good without it, because I always like to evaluate heroes like that. So he's basic. Attacks one enemy, 9% HP scaling, which is okay, with a 50% chance to place an attack down 2 on the target for 1 turn. And I know it's only for 1 turn, but guys, I don't think you realize if you can just keep placing this and place this and place this, you're basically going to learn when you're fighting a Fafnir, when you're fighting like the Patar boss in the dungeons, for example, any of these boss dungeon areas, you're going to learn when the boss you're fighting is going to do his big motherfucking move. I'm going to be honest, you are. You're going to learn when the boss is going to do big damage. And when he does big damage, we're going to say no, right? Because if we can put your attack down now by 40%, that's a lot of damage reduction that we're basically doing, right? We're reducing his damage output, which is saving our health points. This is going to make our team hopefully survive. So I actually don't mind this. It's not too shabby. It's fine, right? The core ability attacks one enemy with a 50% chance to decrease turn meter by 20%. That's not, it's okay. That's fine. That's fine. If you have him awaken 5 though, ooh, you steal the turn meter instead. Now that's bigger, because if you steal it, the tempo swing doubles, right? Just think, this is 50% of the value. If I reduce you by 20%, that's cool. But if I reduce you by 20% and I go up 20%, double the value. So actually not too shabby at Awakening 5. Not game breaking, but pretty good. And the ultimate attacks all enemies though. And if the target has higher HP than this hero, you have a 50% chance to place sleep on the target for 1 turn. Otherwise, increases turn meter by 20%. Now, this feels a bit weird. Maybe this is my first reaction on this, but it doesn't seem like he's trying to get taunted, and he's not really being the focus of attacks either. He's not really forcing that, right? He's able to do what he wants, and he's not really disabling, debuffing, you know what I mean, in that regard to the enemy team. So to me, being a brawler, and especially because you've got big HP scaling on here, what it feels to me is you're gonna most likely have more HP than the enemies. So it's gonna be quite hard, I honestly think, to get that 50% chance sleep off. You get what I'm saying? Like, if it said if the target has lower HP than this hero, then you sleep them, right? Because then it kind of forces them to target this hero, because he's gonna make you fall asleep, because he's bulkier, right? He's putting you into sleep. He's, you know, he might be boring you with the slumber slam here, but if you target him and you focus him down and he's lower HP, well, he's not gonna sleep you anymore. He's gonna give you he's just gonna increase his turn, hopefully, and try and do something else. So I feel like it's okay, but I'm not honestly too impressed with this kit. I'll be honest, right? So now when we add Xbalanque on here, which is his brother in the lore, these are the two Panther or Jungle Panther twins, basically. So Xbalanque is a Jungle Panther, you'll see, but this is Hunapanu, whose brother, the twin, right? So Xbalanque joins in the attack, so that's fine. So we get to see one joint attack here. In the core, if Xbalanque is on the team, you increase his turn meter by the same amount. And then in the ultimate, if Xbalanque is on the team, his divinity also gets increased by 20%. And then his passive is, if Xbalanque is on the team, also increase his turn meter by the same amount. So obviously, working together here is going to go hand in hand, right? So I'm going to see what Xbalanque does next, I think, to really give the full value of this kit. But I will be brutally honest, so far, with Hunapanu here, I feel like his kit isn't good enough on his own, right? I don't know. I think there's going to be better heroes, even better rares that I would rather run than this hero for the kit that he has, right? So it's going to be different, because now we're going to see what Xbalanque can do, right? He's the next hero on the lineup, and obviously with these two together, it's going to maximize their both potentials, right? So they are going to be wanting to be played together. He is the War Twin, the Jungle Panther, as I said. And we've got another brawler in here. When his hero inflicts a critical attack, the next attack inflicts is 10% more. So this is going to be 20% when we look at his passive, right? So, doing the same thing, basic attacks for one enemy, 50% chance to place a defense down 2, very powerful, so not too shabby here. Same as before, so I quite like this. Core ability though, attacks for one enemy. If the target has higher max HP than this hero, you inflict additional 1%. Yeah, see, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking. I like that, right? Because it might not sound good, but against a boss, for example, this is going to do some fucking damage, boys, right? Apart from that, there's not going to be, and it's going to kind of fall the same way as well. It's kind of like a double-edged sword. It's weird. Like Hunapanu's here, because he is a brawler, right? And we're building HP again on these scalings before I even look at his ultimate. And because of that, he most likely is going to have the most max HP among most of the enemies. You're going to have to know your champion pools to find out other brawler builds. But even then, you're probably going to be maybe inching out by 1,000 or so max HP than them. So maybe good for maybe bosses, but not really actually that good elsewhere. So I'm feeling a bit weird about this one again. Ultimate attacks all enemies. If the attack is a strong hit, 50% chance to place a stun. So now this I prefer, right? I can make someone strong hit, right? It's quite potentially easy in the future depending on what we get, because as you guys know, there's this keyword here called precision, which guarantees the attacks are a strong hit. So if we find any invoker with this on, and we can click on this details here, and you can see Sizzin has him as a self buff, but there's no invokers as we know of as of yet that has a precision buff to teammates, right? But if there is one in the future, This makes this really freaking good, right? Because you can really guarantee the strong hit, which is just then telling you you're rolling, you're literally flipping a coin, boys. Flip a coin, get a stun, right? And the crazy thing is, when you awaken 5, this attack always strong hits. So even if you didn't have a precision build, you get that guarantee anyway. So actually not too shabby for that disable here. The Twin Duelist is when this hero inflicts, you get 20% increased damage, right? So overall, I think the kits are very similar to both twins are very similar. I prefer this kit only because of this ultimate alone. Then his ultimate alone is going to be better overall. I can use the core in boss fights, basically any dungeon boss fights, and if I can reduce their defense, I can kill them quicker. So I'm not gonna moan about this. And as you can see with the basic attacks now, Hunapoo has the good old joint attacking as well. So if any twin attacks, the other twin always joins the attack, meaning you're always going to have a defense up, defense down, and an attack down too on the targets, which is very powerful. The core is on the team. So if he's on the team for this one, you place sharpen 2 on this hero for 2 turns before attacking. So that means then if again come down, you get a 30% chance of strong hit chance, but 30% extra strong hit damage too, which is very powerful because it's going to combo with that ultimate. And if he's on the team again, increase the divinity. So this is both twins are increasing each other's ultimate gain, while basically it's interesting, but I'm going to be savage here. I think both twins are really reliant on each other. And I don't like that. I have seen other hero kits, even like Apollo's as a good example, that his kit is really freaking good without the Artemis bits, right? Same with Raijin and Fujin, right? Really good freaking kits and damage that they can deal, right? But with that partner, you can see how it does take them to that next level, but they're still usable without the other one. And it feels like the War Twins here are literally the War Twins. We are gonna probably need to run both these guys together, and then we might be cooking with gas. And you could run something like a full OMEYOCAN team, right? Ixchel, Sean one with these two, and even if you had a 5th spot, put Titsalatzin in. I'm going to be honest, that seems like a really nasty 5-man team there, where you're able to really lock down enemies. You've got the heals, you've got the protection under the Sean one too. Like, not too bad, right? Not too bad. So now we get into the really interesting hero that I really have been excited to talk about ever since all of us have seen him on Simon's video. Zippe Totek, or Zippe Totek, I think he called him. Slayer Strength, and this is a blade user, and this is definitely the blade upgrade from Lady Shock that you would be wanting, similar to like an Achilles, but this guy seems crazy good. So when you're below 50% HP, your attacks remove 2 stacks of bleed, but you heal 5% of your HP for each stack that's removed. And when above 50%, you increase your strong hit chance per 2% bleed on the target. So the more bleed you place on, the more chance you are at dealing bigger damage, which is great. And as soon as you hit below the 50% threshold, he's going to start removing those bleed stacks to heal himself back up in order to get this strong hit off. I think this is crazy. And when you read this down here, it's 2%, man. Like, this is so goddamn good. What a passive can we say we start off with, right? Then we've got our basic, which is an attack one enemy, 350% attack, 75% chance to place 1 bleed on the target. However, if you strong hit with this hero, it's 2 stacks of bleed already. So you can see if you can strong hit with the hemorrhage, you're already feeding the passive up, which is great. But the core, boys and girls, oh boy, this core is disgusting. Ritual Flare attacks 1 enemy, 400% attack with an 80% chance to place 3 stacks of bleed on the target, then attacks all enemies for 400%. I'm going to be honest with you now. This is almost Zeus levels of damage. I don't think you realize. Read Zeus's core and come back to me and tell me this is not getting into that category. This is a lot of damage. A lot of damage. And what's really crazy is if the target has 10 stacks of bleed, you activate all stacks of bleed. That's just so much damage, boys and girls. Like, imagine on a boss, this is going to be 10 stacked so easily. You're going to be nuking bosses left, right, and center. And what's even nastier is the awakening on 3 is so early on, it helps this hero fantastically. For each the divinity is increased by 1% for each stack of bleed that's activated. So if you want to go off an ultimate, you are going to be wanting to get these 10 stacks, because then you can activate the core, then core again, and core again, and core again. And the more you keep coring, the more you keep divinity farming, and the more you divinity farming, basically, the more you can keep firing off your ultimate. And your ultimate is disgusting too. Attacks all enemies and has an 80% chance to place a Curse 2 on all targets for 2 turns. Curse 2 is one of the nicest things that you could place on the enemy team, because you stop them from healing and shielding and barriering for 50%. Your job becomes so much easier, boys and girls. I don't think you understand. It is nasty. And what's really cool about this is if the defeated target is defeated, you spread 2 stacks of bleed to all targets. And if a target is defeated with 10 stacks of bleed, this hero gets an extra turn. Oh my god, bro. Like, what else do we need on this Slayer? If this hero gains an extra turn, reset the core ability. Like, come on, boys. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I'm looking for this hero for my Apollo. I want to be able to core, honestly reset and boost up its damage with my Apollo, with Zippy Totec here, and just bleed city, bitch. Bleed city. That's literally what I want to do right now. It is nuts. Like, whoa, what an epic hero compared to the other 2 that we've seen so far, right? And the thing is, he doesn't have even a leader bonus, and just to give you the divinity generator, it's 20 when inflicting damage to an enemy under bleed. Like, we're doing that 24/7, boys and girls. So, Zippy Totec, easily #1 choice so far. Hands down, out of obviously all of the heroes we've seen, we've got more to go, and there is someone coming up that I am looking forward to as well. But he is crazy good. So if I pull him and you pull him early on, be excited, because it's going to be nice. We got, I want to say it's Kotzi, Kotzi or Shotzi or Chochi. I don't even know, man. I keep pronouncing it's Lady Shock, right? So it's Shocky, bro, Shocky Quetzal. We got there, I think. It is what it is. This hero is under review, which is a bit upsetting. And you can see Crimson Kiss, Floral Flourish, Torment of Temptation, and Vibrant Flora. She is a disruptor, so it's going to be interesting to see what type of disables or potential debuffs, or even maybe a turn meter, divinity decreaser, or, you know, manager. It's going to be a really interesting to see what she does. We don't know what her kit is, so keep an eye on there. But Zolotl, or I want to call him Zolotlotl or something, bro, this hero I have seen earlier on, and I'm sorry for spoiling you guys, but he seems insane for all the right reasons, and you can do some insane combos with this Eternal Invoker in this faction. You have a 10% chance to join an ally in attacks, which is just so good on its own as an imprint. But when joining an attack, you will heal 5% max HP on all allies and increase their divinity by 5%. Boys, when we read this, that is a 20% chance in joining an attacks and getting that 5% heal. And when you get an Awakening free, you increase the turn meter as well by 5%. So you're healing, your turn meter increasing, and divinity increasing on join attacks. And the crazy thing is, you can build super good teams to force joint attacks in. You could even bring something like a Sun Wukong in. Basic attack. He has also a joint attack in his imprint. You got these two just basically working off each other. It is going to be dirty in the game. However, what makes him good on top of this is honestly his kit. His kit is so good. Attacks one enemy for 140%, nothing too crazy there. But you increase this hero's divinity by 50, and you place a random buff on a random ally for 1 turn. And you can put a speed up 2, an attack up 2, an initiative 2, or a defense up 2. And you will prioritize anyone who triggers the path of the Psycho Pump, which is basically this passive. So anytime say I'm using Tristan and I attack with a Tristan can trigger the path of Psycho Pump. Psycho Pump will then heal everyone, increase divinity, increase turn meter, and as well place a defense, initiative, attack, or speed up onto Tristan potentially, because it's going to give him greater chances compared to anyone else. This is a buff generator if I have ever seen one in my life, and I can't wait to see who breaks this and who can really get these buffs churning in this game. It's going to be nuts. Twin Benediction attacks one enemy, mirrors one random buff from the target, but you also increase the duration of one random buff on all allies. We've got an early buff increaser in the game, and this is again someone to be looking out for as an epic hero. This is why I was saying this from the get-go as a spoiler. I honestly think this hero is insane. You attack one enemy, 140% attack, place sharpen 2 on all allies for 2 turns. It's just nice, it's cheap, so it's just kind of good additional damage basically output for your team. But honestly, the basic and core is why you're playing this hero, because these two are going to keep working off each other, which is going to keep triggering the passive, and each time the passive you keep triggering, you're going to keep getting more benefits, and it's just going to go crazy. And you can see even my brain's just going, oh, it's melting how good this can be, right? And on top, just to finish this, the ultimate says, if you did pick up a Quetzalcoatl, if you started the game with Godforge quests with a Quetzalcoatl, guys, you have got this hero to join the attack. And as you'll know, Quetzalcoatl's basic attack heals all allies, and on top of it, can place a Petrify with that strong hit. And that's from memory, and we're going to be checking that out later on because he is in this group. So absolutely crazy hero, honestly. I would honestly keep an eye out on this one. This is one of the top 3 picks for me out of this entire faction. This is a Xolotl guy. He seems like an epic eternal, really worthy of the tag, especially when you start to look at some of the other factions and other heroes and even the weapons and imprints that you could be putting onto this hero and just break him. That's how it feels. It's gonna be some good old game breaking bugs, I think, with this hero. So the next one is Sheik, I want to say, and the thing is, sadly, just like some of the others, abilities are under review, but we do have also activate bleed on the target when a buff is removed or stolen here on the passive, which makes me feel like she is placing bleed on the target through the basic or through the Harvest Moon here, and it'll say for the basic or the ultimate, if target is under bleed, steal buff or something like that. I'm thinking something like that, because then you'll activate the bleed for having the bleed on them and get the buff. So we will have to wait, but it's good to have a good little guess with you guys. I'm going to be honest, she has one of the best looking weapons out of them all. That thing looks like it can do some good old damage, so can't wait to see the good old Blood Mother on there. Now we've got Zatebe. Zatbe. She's a disruptor though, and sadly with the others under review, and she's a lot more niche compared to the others. We can't see anything on her, so unfortunately no clue what she's gonna do. And I'm gonna be honest, she was a little bit too revealing. I don't want anyone getting a little bit jealous there, right? So we're on the final one, the legendary heroes, and again these are all looking, I'm gonna be honest, very good top contenders in all of their own rights. So we're gonna start off with Camazotz. He is the eternal of the OMEYOCANs here. He's a disruptor. And it says, when this hero inflicts a critical hit, you steal 2.5% turn meter. And if the attack is a strong critical hit, you steal a further 2.5% turn meter. So you basically keep critting. And if you can strong crit, you 5% steal their turn meter, which is a 10%, you know, differential in the fight, which is nice. But it's when we start reading his kit, it makes a little bit more sense of what he's supposed to do, right? Basic attack, attacks one enemy 3 times. Each hit has a 75% chance to reduce the turn meter by 5%. So this is going to go 5, 10, 15 if you high roll. But on top of that, if you crit on this, well, guess what? We're stealing turn meter from the passive here, right? We're stealing 5% on here. So that's almost a 10% turn meter steal each hit. And if we crit on a strong hit, that's 15%. So he's a real nasty turn meter, as you've guessed it, drainer. Right, I actually quite like that in this kit. His Awakening 1 says if a target is already under Drain 2, you also decrease their turn meter by 10%. This is because you attack all enemies with an 80% chance to place Drain 2 on the target for 2 turns. And the thing is, I actually value this quite highly, and a lot of people don't value Drain as much as they should. Drain allows you and your allies, whoever attacks an enemy with the Drain 2 on, you heal for 20% of the damage inflict. So the thing is, this is giving you self-sustain now, even as a full Slayer combo, for example. And sustain, as we've kind of seen in interviews with Dirk, and even in the videos with Simon and stuff, you want some lifesteal sets. You want some survivability and sustain gear sets. And if you don't get them, you need to try and find ways of getting that. And Drain is one of the best ways of doing it, because it's scaling on your damage. Not a set amount, it's your damage. If you can do an insane amount of damage, you're going to heal an insane amount and potentially just keep sustaining up. So I really do like the Drain on this hero. I think it's actually a good bit of the kit, which I think many will ignore, right? The ultimate's a 1500 Divinity. It attacks all enemies 2 times again. A really good multi-hitter here. Each hit has an 80% chance to reduce the target's turn meter by 10%, which goes to 15 if we crit. And if the target is above 50% turn meter, we place a speed down 2 on them for 2 turns. Otherwise, if they're not, and we've locked them below that 50%, we despair them. Oh, boys, that is freaking good. Stopping them from taking buffs. Oh, boys, yes, please. I'd love to stop giving people buffs and potentially skip their turns. And an Awakening 5 strong hit critical guaranteed. Yeah, absolute bonkers there. Moving just to the passive, Awakening here also decreases the target's initiative speed and speed by 5, stacking up to 50, so you can reduce the initiative and speed stack by 50 right, of total, which is quite nice. Each time a hero steals a turn meter. Yeah, so think about it. Anytime you basically basic ability and even potentially ultimate, and you're critting and you're stealing the turn meter, and then technically strong hitting, you're going to get this up, meaning over time, no matter what, he should control the enemies so they've got lower stats than you. So you should, in theory, go 1, 2, 3, 4 and always get your turns off, no matter what, in order compared to the enemy, which I think it's maybe a very high skill ceiling hero, and maybe in certain areas it's going to be good. I know, as we know, in like Fafnir fights and the dungeon fights, there's only so much turn meter you can actually do to the bosses, and then they stop letting you do it, right? Because if you could make a boss do no turns, that would be a little bit unfair. Let's be real. It would be super funny, but it'd be really unfair. So they have mechanics in there, so you can't perma stun basically these guys. So the turn meter is not going to be too relevant in those type of situations, but definitely good in the right ones. So I'm not too bad. Kamazots, and he's a disruptor, remember, so he isn't supposed to be doing damage, but he can do some decent damage, especially with these little basic multipliers. You can just build a bit of attack, mainly accuracy, not even accuracy. Yeah, maybe, yeah, accuracy, just to get that drain on him, to make sure you can keep that sustain going. And then same with these two down here. Bit of HP, a little bit of a bruiser comp. Yeah, why not? Why not? We could do that. So now we've got Sizzin. We all know what Sizzin does, and many of you guys absolutely got triggered that I put Sizzin in the A tier. And guess what? He's still staying in the A tier. And if you carry on, I'll drop him down to the fucking F tier, you guys. I will. I've heard you all say things and make me laugh at what some of these comments are saying, but Sizzin is the king AoE kind of champ at the moment. So if an enemy is under acid, you reduce incoming healing from him. But if we look at all of his kit, his basic, his core, and his ultimate attacks all enemies. This is for 380%, this is for 410%. The basic does an acid, the core does a blaze, right? And this is for 2 turns on each. And when you awaken him, it says if the target is under acid, you also activate blaze without reducing its duration, which is quite nice, because it's basically allowing you to do a bit extra chunk, a tiny little bit of extra damage over time by activating the blaze without losing its tick time, right? Which is quite nice. The ultimate's the same thing, so it attacks all enemies when you activate the acid and blaze on each target. So this is going to activate them and obviously make them just lose it potentially on the stacks, especially for blaze. Also places precision on his hero, which means this always gets to strong hit, which is quite nice. The one thing in his kit, as we've said earlier, and he's the first hero that we've seen to do this, and this is the only hero that I've seen so far that has it. He can place precision on all allies instead. Now that is an insane line of text for Sizzin. I'm gonna be honest, it is crazy. You can build some dirty teams, especially now, as you've seen with Kamazots. Imagine you pulled Kamazots and you have a Sizzin. I'm going to be honest, you should be absolutely frying, especially when you awaken free this guy over time. He's going to be your, obviously, echo summoning of choice, right? To get these, to get this awakening online quicker. And you got to think, that's going to enable the stealings of turns. It's going to enable other heroes in other combinations, like in an Icarus to work, for example, right? In placing more Blaze too, as well. So it's just one of those things that you can really work around just on this one line of text, right? The Awakening Fire says when an enemy receives damage from acid, you have a 50% chance to increase the duration of it by 1 turn. Now, this again is nuts. Only because of how this works, right? If they get acid or blaze, it basically means you keep it going. You don't lose the blaze. And when you're activating it now, basically only through the ultimate is when it's getting reduced. Otherwise, other heroes might be reducing it in other metrics, right? He is an insane damage over time dealer. No doubt about it. But if you're only picking him because he can attack all enemies in all these 3 categories, I wouldn't be picking him for that reason. And I don't think that's the reason he's a strong hero, which many people think he is. I actually think he's a strong hero because of this Awakening 3 and 5. That's what makes him powerful. That's what makes the kit work. And this could have been attack one enemy, and this could have been double AoE, and it would have been perfectly fine still, and it would have worked just as good. But the fact you got triple AoE does allow you to farm campaign really easily, lets you farm potential tower really easily, might let you farm dungeon bosses really easily. It just depends what ones you need, right? So Sizin, definitely a good hero. He gives you 30% attack in the dungeons where you're gonna use him too. So no hate towards him. I just think personally there is a lot more powerful kits out there that you could be bringing to the party, and it's not always that AoE is best. Let me say it that way, right? So now we've got Kinich Ahu. This is a defender, eternal defender. When an ally is damaged by blaze or aetherburn, reduced effectiveness by 25%. This increases the damage of the next hero's ability by 5%, which isn't bad either. But hey ho, let's look at the actual one. So this is 50% and then 10. Okay. So Solar Barrier. When an ally is damaged by an enemy, transfer 50% of the damage to this hero and increase the damage of the ally's next ability by 10%. That's actually really good. That's really good. 50% of the damage to this hero. So we literally have a 50% damage reduction built in now to all of our heroes, right? And they do 10% more their next attack, which is quite huge. Basic ability attacks all enemies, 50% chance to place Aetherburn 2 for 2 turns, okay. And then core attacks all enemies again, 75% chance to place attack down 2 and blunt 2. Boys, I'm going to be honest, I know we just talked about Sizin, but I would rather have this hero already. He's got double AoE again, but having Aetherburn 2 online is huge. Boys, increases the weak hit chance by 10% and reduces the divinity of all allied heroes by 6%. Like, that is huge that you can do that for 2 turns on an AoE ability, and it scales off defense and attack. The core is attacks all enemies, attack down 2 and blunt 2. So 40% reduction in attack. 30% decreased chance in strong hit and strong. Oh, yeah, boys. Like, this is what I'm talking about. Sizin who? Sizin who? Literally. Ultimate. Place Radiance 2. Resistance up 2 on all allies for 2 turns. Then transfers Blaze and Aetherburn from all allies to this hero. Then attacks 230% defense and 150% attack. Increases its attack's defense by 5%. This increases 6 times if a debuff is transferred. Oh, that's so good. Increase all allies' defense when transferring a debuff instead. Holy shit. So if we awaken 3 this guy, every time we do this little mini game, as I'm going to call it, right, we basically get a transfer, increase everyone's defense up. And if we're playing like an Athena team, Heimdall's in here with Retaliate. Bro, imagine Retaliate. Oh my lord. Retaliation on this guy. Plays in a fucking Aetherburn 2 on all enemies constantly. And it's AoE, bro. Like, Jesus Christ. That feels nasty. And he's got a 30% all battles defense aura. We know we like that. We like that. Holy shit. Yeah, no. I like this guy. I actually really like this guy. I hope they don't change him too much, honestly. Oh my lord. But when an ally is damaged by an enemy, transfer 50% of the damage to this hero and increase the damage. That seems so good. Does it not? So let me get this right. I can reduce their divinity gain. I can make them basically, you know, do nothing through A for burn 2. I make them do no damage because of my attack down 2 and blunt 2. And then I can place a resistance up 2 and a radiance, guys. Radiance is reducing and reflecting, by the way, 20% of the damage. Bro, my guy is making sure I don't take damage. I am telling you. Oh my god, he seems so good. So freaking good, dude. Oh boy, yeah. I'm sorry, boys and girls, but if I'm rating these two next to each other, I'm picking this guy 10 times out of 10 over Sizzin. I'm sorry. It might tilt you all, and I know, but I am sorry. I feel that way. Plus, he's the blinking. Look at him. Bling king, boys and girls. Gotta pick him, right? So we're coming to the final four, which is MrSneakyy, Moctezuma, and Quetzalcoatl, and Tlaloc. So let's get through these. MrSneakyy is one, though, as many people know now, on everyone's list. Why is she on everyone's list? We have seen some of the mechanics, especially in like Svarog's Horde, and in these other dungeons where your HP is going to get destroyed. And the fact that we are restoring 20% destroyed HP on the basic is really good, because in a joint attack build, you can get this going off a lot. The core also removes 2 debuffs from all allies, but you also place a block debuff on each target for 2 turns. So you protect your team really freaking well against the, obviously, bosses, but then you heal them for 20% of your HP. What is insane. And what's really good about this, and this is why we like her too, and we didn't like her before, is even if you didn't have this line of text here, a 20% heal is insane burst healing. It's one of the highest we've seen, right? It's so freaking good. Awakening 3 also places a resistance up 2 on each target, and all buffs cannot be removed. So just think that resistance up 2 and block debuff just does not have, like, you're set. You ain't moving, boys. Then the ultimate revives all defeated allies with 40% turn meter and health, then also restores 50% of each ally's destroyed HP and increases their divinity by 20%. And the Awakening 1, this also places Vanish on all allies except this hero for 2 turns. So basically anyone you're basically reviving in your team gets this entire Vanish up onto him. It's okay, it's not too crazy, but we've seen what you could do with the rare hero. So just think about it like that. For example, we could put MrSneakyy with this Tlatzikatsin guy and instantly get that disable synergy online and rolling, right? And this is why it's really important to look at all the heroes. Your passive also restores 20% of the destroyed HP when you receive a buff. You're replacing a good enough amount of buffs through these. So yeah, really good for these dungeons. She's going to be honestly an all-star healer too, I think, for a lot of players. But in these specific dungeons like Svarog's Horde, whoever's got this hero from the Godforge quests, GG to you, because you've probably got the best support you could ask for in that scenario. Does it mean it's going to be the best team? Maybe not, but it does mean you definitely have the strongest start by hands down on this. Just to finish her off, and another really key thing why I like her and why a lot of people like her, 20% speed bonus on all battles. Go greedy with your gear, boys. You heard it here first. Go greedy with your gear. MrSneakyy is got your back. Moctezuma is another defender in the OMEYOCANs. Strength, his actual kit when we scroll down. Basic attacks 1 enemy. 150% defense 2 times, which isn't too shabby. Each hit inflicted does 50% increased damage to a barrier and a shield. So he's kind of the guy to counter them, which is kind of cool. If the target is not under a barrier or shield, though, you increase the turn meter by 10% instead. So it's a win-win. You can counter shields and barrier comps, and if you're not against them, you get into your turn a little bit sooner. The core says attacks all enemies for 100% defense 2 times, and then before each hit, you have a 75% chance to remove barrier and shield from the target, which is a massive bit of utility there. That one line of text gives you a nice bit of obviously barrier and shield stripping, which you might need, but also says if the target is not under barrier or shield after attacking, you have a 75% chance to place Curse 2 on the target, which means you can potentially stop them from getting 50% barriers in the future again. But otherwise, you place acid on them for 2 turns while also placing taunt on them for 1 turn. So this taunt is going to force them to attack this guy now, right? So if you just kind of scroll down here, for taunt forces this hero to attack the enemy that plays taunt. This is 25% reduced damage. So basically, he AoEs, you're all taunted. You now all have to hit Moctezuma, but Moctezuma has obviously hopefully stripped your barriers and all of that jazz too, which is quite nice, right? The Awakening 1 makes the taunt for 2 turns instead, which is a nice little bit of upgrade too on them. They're going to kind of be annoyed, especially if you can just taunt their team and basically heal up the Moctezuma. He ain't going to die. They're locked into this taunt lock almost. Could be an interesting playstyle. Honestly, I've never tried it properly, but we never had the capabilities before. The ultimate says place ward on all allies for 2 turns and then attacks all enemies for 200% defense. You also place a shield on all allies equal to 30% of the damage inflicted, but you cannot exceed a 25k shield. And when you awaken 5, it says you increase the limit to 50k, but you also reflect 100% damage inflicted to the shield, and this will always be a normal hit that ignores 100%. That's crazy. So what this is saying is when you awaken 5 him, your shield, it doubles up in strength, so you can get a 50k max shield if you hit that big damage with your Moctezuma here. And when you take a hit and that shield absorbs it, you're reflecting back the damage, and it's ignoring 100% of defense, which means it's true damage that they're taking. It will always normal hit, so you can't crit, you can't strong hit to make it fair, but that is a very powerful, as I would call it, fawn effect, right? It's a very powerful fawn effect in this game. And the fact that you place in ward isn't too shabby, right? We all know ward reduces the damage to 0, so the first hit, ignore it, and then if it's 2 turns, you can ignore 2 attacks basically, which is really good. So just think, you can ignore 2 hits as well with this through the taunt. So you can imagine he actually is tanking quite well here. So I actually quite like this. Passive says when an enemy attacks an ally, decrease the damage received by 20%, increase the damage this hero inflicts on their next ability by 5, and if this is, oh wow, this is doubled if the enemy is under barrier, so this is a 10% extra damage inflicted. Okay, and then Awakening 3 says, if an ally is defeated, activate this hero's core ability. Holy smokes, if you kill one of my guys, I instantly force this core on you, which is a taunt to basically save my team from you killing any more of them. I really like Moctezuma. I don't really want to spoil what I am thinking, but I really like Moctezuma. Keep your eyes out on this hero. He definitely is on my radar. This is very powerful. Very powerful. Holy smokes. Imagine, like, I don't want to say it, I can't. I'm not spoiling the secrets. We might have to make a video on it in the future. Let me know down in the comment section down below before we move on to our final 2 heroes. Quetzalcoatl, which is one of the heroes you guys should know by now. Didn't get a little bit of a change, but isn't bad by any means. This hero is all about reviving still and more about divinity gain now. So your ultimate places initiative up to, accuracy up to on all allies, and you also increase the turn meter of an ally with the highest turn meter by 50%. This basically allows you to keep going, right? It's allowing your team to trigger their divinity faster, get into turn faster, allows you to hit skills more consistently. And what's really good about him is he is kind of like a cool staple hero in any joint attack build, especially if you've got random joint attacks as well, because you could use your basic ability to heal all allies and then as well join attack to get a bigger burst heal. It's 10%, and those 10% do add up all in a fight. So it's a really nice sustain kit that he has. And what's really good too is the strong hit places Petrify on the turn for 1 turn, and when you awaken free will always which cannot be resisted, which is good. I love having that petrified, it cannot be resisted, really good. But the core again is where I think this hero is all about. When you start to play Quetzalcoatl, it's kind of this core and ultimate synergy that keep flipping, and you'll notice this heals does help and it's just there for you. But being able to turn meter increase and speed 2 on all of your team basically tells you you can be, again, greedy with your gear. But if you're against a team that doesn't have a Quetzalcoatl and you core, I'm going to say about 8 times out of 10, your team should be going first overall, because you just cheat so much stats and turn meter from this one core ability. It's kind of disgusting. And the cool thing is, Awakening 1 increases the speed of each target, and this goes up to 30 points, so you just get a nice amount. Awakening 5 on the passive revives all allies instead of just 2, which is really good. If you guys didn't know, if you kill Quetzalcoatl, he basically revives 2 of his allies. So the way to beat a Quetz is always to fight and kill him first. If you can kill him first, your team is normally better off. If you kill everyone else and then kill Quetz, you're basically having to do all the hard work again, so it's not as good. He has a 24% speed in dungeon battles, and it's good enough because you're going to be needing him in these dungeon battles too. So Quetz, really good. Different playstyle by all means. He is different playstyle by all means. And even the obviously nerf to the leader bonus too, I think. All understandable, but he's a different playstyle now. He's not about giving attack ups and sharpens, because I think there was enough of them in the game. He's all about getting your divinity going, getting that initiative going, getting that speed going. And you'll notice the teams that can really get off their ultimates a lot more often than others might start to outscale them, right? Because you can get potential massive bonuses and massive stacking abilities from them all. So I actually really like Quetz. If you've got Quetz and you've been hearing all the doom and gloom, I'll be the content creator to tell you, don't worry about it. Honestly, don't worry about it. I think you're in safe hands with Quetz. So to look, the last one to talk about is an Eternal Slayer for the OMEYOCANs, and I actually really like this hero too because I've seen him before. Each hit from this hero has a 25% chance to inflict extra damage to a random enemy for 10% of the damage inflicted. And when we go to his actual passive, this says a 50% chance, right? So each hit from this hero has a 50% chance to do some extra damage, and enemies under Hex always receive extra damage, and this is super important when we obviously read these other 2 abilities. Basic attack 1 enemy 3 times, and each hit ignores 5% of the target's defense, which is doubled if the target's under Hex 2. Hex 2 is placed through the core, so you attack all enemies, has an 80% chance to place Hex 2 on the target for 2 turns, and also place 2 stacks of Banish on enemies defeated by this hero. That is wild, by the way. Enemies defeated with this debuff cannot be revived while this is on. So I literally negate 2 revives with that core ability if it goes off. I actually think that is massive. That means whoever you fight against needs to revive their team 3 freaking times in order to get this off, right? On top of this, the core also increases the accuracy up and give you immortal for 2 turns before attacking. So you're literally going to be placing this Hex 2 most of the time onto the enemies. And Hex 2 isn't too shabby either. Hex says allies receive 10% of the damage inflicted this hero, right? And this is halved on AoE. one thing you'll notice with this hero, yes, this is an AoE ability, which is placed on the Hex, but what is the basic? It's a single attack that attacks 3 times. The thing is, if this is an attack and each hit deals damage, well, if we hit someone and that hits the Hex target, that's going to hit someone else, right? So you can kind of see it's almost like, as you've guessed it with these symbols, because I do believe he is the god of thunder and rain and stuff. As you see, he's called Rainmaker, but I believe he is meant to be like one of the gods of thunder in the culture here. So it makes sense that you've got this literally like just constant bombardment of lightning coming through with the basic now because of this Hex going online. So really powerful core there. I think putting Banish is just nasty for 2 stacks. Ultimate Surge attacks all enemies 345%. Each hit also ricochets to a random enemy, inflicting damage 345%, and increasing attacks divinity cost by 3. This is huge because this also on Awakening 3 increases your own attack by 25 stacks for each successful ricochet. And ricochet basically is like, you can imagine if I hit this guy, it's going to ricochet. It might ricochet 2 times, 3 times. I don't know fully on this because even if we look up here, ricochet, it doesn't tell us how much it is. It says attacks a random target, then continues chaining to a new target. Each attack has a lower chance to occur. So you basically just have a chance to go. It is just pure RNG. But think, each time you're ricocheting, you're also static torrenting. And each time you start torrenting, if you hit a Hex target, well, guess what? Everyone takes even more damage, right? So it's a really clever single target / AoE kit all put together. And I think that is lit. 35% attack in all battles, so you can get all the damage you need from this. It is not hard. Gain Divinity when inflicting critical hit, meaning you do want, as you've guessed it, that 100% crit chance like you would do on any of your main slayers on your teams. So to lock, I actually really like. He is this machine gun static charge, if you've not guessed it, the man, the myth, the legend. And that does conclude every OMEYOCAN faction hero. And I'd love to hear down below the next faction that you'd like to see. Just remember, we've gone through OMEYOCANs, we've gone through Olympus, I believe, we've gone through even the Iker faction. So we technically have Aru, Asgard, we've got Avalons, we've got the Kojiki faction, we've got the Tian faction, and the final Virage faction to go over. I'd love to hear which one you want to see next and hear my opinions on if I like the kits, if I don't like the kits, if I think they're spicy or not. You know the drill by now. And if you've enjoyed the video, you know what to do, guys. Smash like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to join a Pantheon, just remember the link is in the description down below. But we do have our camp Half-Blood here for you guys. You can just join, hit the Discord, come and join the group. We're all degenerates, we're all casual gamers too, we're all just whatever you want to call us, because we're all a good tight-knit group of friends, honestly, here, so you'll enjoy it. So, until the next one, guys, stay safe, stay sneaky, peace out.